Welcome to the More Demand podcast, where we help you generate more demand for your products and services. Every episode we give you tips, tricks and tutorials on how to get the best out of your digital marketing. Less frustration, more demand. Here's your host Lawrence Howlett with this week's freshest tips.
Hello and welcome to the More Demand podcast, episode number 27. Today we're going to take a deep dive into Facebook ads and Facebook ad retargeting. And to do that, I'm going to bring on to the show Staci Dennett, who owns a digital marketing agency called modern87marketing.com. Now, Staci has set up advanced sales funnels for more demand, and I know her systems absolutely work because we are using them right now on More Demand. Staci also brings to the table a ton of knowledge and expertise. I know she's been through a load of training courses by marketing professionals as well. We'll chat about them later on, and I'm super excited to have Staci on the show today. Of course, there is an awesome download for you that will go through all of the sales funnels and retargeting ads that you can set up yourself to help you generate leads for your business. So grab your copy today at moredemand.co.uk/episode 27. So as I said, I'm really excited to have Staci on the show. We're going to take that deep dive now into Facebook ads and Facebook ad retargeting. Make sure that you have a pen and paper ready because this is going to be a killer episode. I know it. So without further ado, let's welcome Staci onto the show. Hi Staci, welcome to the More Demand podcast.
Hi Lawrence, great to be here. So excited to chat with you.
Yeah, it's nice to bring someone that's behind the scenes on the More Demand podcast, as we did with Nick last week as well, and bring to the forefront and really share some of the strategies that we're using.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here and be able to share strategies from... Oh, sorry about that. Things open in the background sometimes. Yeah, so excited to be here and be able to share, some of the strategies that I'm using for you and then for my own company and for my clients and some of the more advanced things that are working right now.
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground on the More Demand podcast with things like landing pages, opt-in pages, lead magnets, and things like that. So just set the scene in sort of who should be using Facebook ads and what are some of the goals. I know we want conversions and things like that, but what are some of the goals that you can have with your ads in a sort of advanced mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. So the answer to who should be using Facebook ads is most everyone. There are a couple of businesses that maybe your audience isn't on Facebook, but for the majority of people, Facebook is a great starting ground for using to find your audience, to find your message, and to really test products that you want to sell on a smaller scale so that then you can maybe go into PPC advertising or things like that. But Facebook ads for a lot of people work, and they work really well and they work really fast. So to answer who should be using Facebook ads, well, pretty much everybody, whether you're e-commerce, whether you have coaching or information products, whether you sell, if you're an agency like I am, Facebook ads work really well. And then for the goals that you should have, a lot of what we hear for goals of Facebook advertising is, oh, you just need opt-ins. It's a great way to build your list. And it is, and that's a great starting place for a lot of people. But then if you're thinking, okay, I've got the opt-in piece down, now what, right? There's a lot of things that you can be doing with Facebook ads outside of that, including retargeting. So you can be retargeting to your offers or retargeting to the next piece of the puzzle for you. So let's say you have an information product and you've got people who've opted into your list and you're selling your information products, and now you want to offer a high ticket coaching program. So Facebook ads are a great way to speak to your audience in a different way besides email to sell your high ticket coaching program. So there's a lot of ways and a lot of goals that you can be using Facebook ads for outside of just building your list. So one of the goals that you can have is to make sales. Right? One of the things I hear most often from people is like, I'm not making any money from my Facebook ads. I'm not making any money. Well, if you're just trying to build your list, with Facebook ads, of course you're not making any money because you're not taking it that next step. So then Facebook ads go from this expense that you have every month to this investment that you're making that is bringing you, your money back and then some. So one of your goals with Facebook ads, I don't care who you are, what you sell, your goal first and foremost should be to break even. So the first thing you need is a break even funnel so that you know that if you put in $1 in Facebook ads, you get $1 back. If you're trying to make money on the front end of your Facebook ad funnel, you're most likely going to get frustrated. But if your goal is just to break even, then you can use that for momentum to then profit on the other side of that.
Nice little sneeze as well. Yeah. No, I see, a lot of people, think that, they put $1 in, they're going to get $2 out, or put £1 in and get 2 out, immediately as soon as they start doing it. Or they're at that other end where they're putting £1 in and getting 0 out because everyone's so focused on list building that, they're not thinking, hang on, I can actually make sales from Facebook as well. And you don't have to be e-commerce to do that, as you just identified. So it's really thinking about, what's the next stage after someone's opted into your ebook, to your checklist, what's the next stage in your sales funnel, and how you could maybe use Facebook ads to do that. And in terms of, creating a campaign for that, what does that look like? What sort of technical aspects go into creating that retargeting campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so everybody grab your pen and paper and get ready to kind of map out this funnel that I'm about to talk about. So the first step is the opt-in, right? You need people to opt into that list. You need to get that little bit of a yes from them. And so the first step is the opt-in. And one thing that's working really well with Facebook ads right now, this very second, this may not hold true a year from now, but in this very minute, what's working really well is things that are very actionable. So templates work really well. Any kind of thing that's easily consumable, right? Because people are scrolling through the news feed and they need to decide right away, I want this, right? So if you're offering a 10,000 page ebook, people are going to be like, no, I don't have time for that. Yeah. So give them something really consumable. So then once they opt in for that, immediately go to the first offer. So ask yourself, okay, what's next? Right? What question are they going to have next? They just said yes to this thing. So basically they've raised their hand and said, I have a problem with this. So now you can ask the next question, well, what's next? And then answer that for them. So for one of the funnels I have going for a client right now, somebody opts in for some Facebook templates. And then right on the next page, we ask them, are you making the big Facebook marketing mistake that most businesses are making? And that mistake is not having a bigger strategy around how to use Facebook. And then we offer them another product for about $17. And people say, yes, I want that, because we've now answered that next question that they have. So this is where you break even. And if you can break even here, you can run Facebook ads to infinity, and you can, outspend your competition, and you can grow your list and your business as big and as fast as you want to, because you've broken even here. So then what you can do to continue.
If we just go back, that's a really, really critical point, that, you are list building for free at this point. Once you've got that opt-in sorted and you've got that initial first offer, which I presume, you want to keep it as low a price point as you can to break even, you are then list building for absolutely free.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what should my budget be, or how much should I be spending on Facebook ads? And it's like, well, as much as you possibly can, right? So once you might want to start out with a little bit of a testing budget, but once you've got it figured out, well, if you're breaking even, spend
as much as you can. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Whatever your daily limit is. My daily limit is $750. So what would I be spending? $750 and just, really getting there. And that is a huge mistake that people make, is trying to make a profit at first. So if they're not profiting, if they're not seeing, for every dollar they spend, $5 back, they think it's a failure. And I'm like, if you're spending $1 and you're getting $1 back, you are a raging success. That is a campaign that is going, like, you just crush it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can just keep going from there. So then, if I go too fast and you want to interrupt me, just go ahead and interrupt me.
Sure, no problem.
So, once you have that piece, then what happens, at the next step? So now that they have that $17 product, you've probably heard of this called a tripwire. I like to call it an introductory offer. So now that they have that, people are asking the next question, well, what's next? So you immediately give them the answer to what's next, right? So then on the next page, you introduce the next problem and give them a solution to that problem with your core product. And this is where you can start to make some of that money back. So you've just given people the option, once they say yes to that first product, option to buy the next product. And then you can use Facebook ads to go back to those same people who didn't take you up on your core offer and retarget them to say, hey, I think you forgot something. And then you can also use Facebook ads to retarget the people who didn't take the first offer.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I think you forgot something. And you can always set a limit on how long that retargeting ad goes. Because let's say you've given them a deadline of 3 days to buy it before the offer goes away. Well, you're not a liar, pants on fire. You need to stick to your integrity and make sure that offer goes away in 3 days. So you can actually set up that condition in Facebook to no longer show those ads after 3 days, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and it starts building in that element of scarcity that you need to take up on this offer. And, that's going to drive up the conversions as well, just through using scarcity. And I think, as you said, you've got that introductory offer, which is a much nicer way of putting it than tripwire, because I don't think we're trying to fool people here. We are really trying to help people. That's the whole point of this exercise. And then to go to your next stage, which is the third page, I suppose, that doesn't have to be an online checkout e-commerce informational product. That could be, book your first discovery session or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever the next step for you is, because your next step is probably very different than my next step. So whatever that next step is, it's just continually putting it in front of people, I can help you and here's how I can help you. I always think of it, if I have a friend who is suffering from acne and they have this challenge with acne, if I have the solution to their problem and I don't offer it to them, I'm a jerk face.
I love that word.
And so, of course I'm going to give you this solution. And of course I'm going to ask you to pay me for it, because that's, how I put food on my table.
Yeah.
And it's that value exchange, you want this, I have it, let's exchange some value. And you just keep offering the next step along the way to help them get to their bigger goal.
Yeah, so I suppose in the acne example, your first offer might be a smaller trial pack or something like that. And then, the next thing is, do you want to, get the month pack rather than the week? It's that next sort of step along the way. Or, maybe the first offer is simply, a checklist for how to wash your face properly, whatever it is. And then the next step is your paid product. For a lot of people that are, listen to this in service companies, like myself, an agency owner, our first offer would be, a small ebook or checklist or something like that, as you say, some templates, and then the next is going to be that consulting offer, I think. So just talk about how retargeting works in those steps, because that really does, confuse a lot of people in terms of, they've got their initial ad, which is sort of, understandable. You put your initial ad out there, and then you retarget. So how does that exactly work?
Yeah, so now we're going to get super technical.
Sure, let's dive in.
So what you have to do is you need to set up a custom audience inside of Facebook. And those custom audiences, it's going to generate a pixel for you. And you actually just have one pixel, for every single page that you have out there on the interwebs. And that 1 pixel then goes on pretty much everything. But here's the trick, because I get this question a lot. They're like, Staci, I have the pixel, but it's not working. And the next step you have to take is to then go into the code, the pixel code, and change 1 word. So when you first generate this code, if you scroll mostly down to the bottom, and you're going to see a word that says page view. We need to change that to match the action that they're actually taking. So it might be a lead, it might be complete registration, it might be checkout, but you need to change that word so that Facebook then knows how to count it. And then another cool thing that if you're right there in that little section, you can actually put in the conversion value. So let's say they do check out on your page. You can put $97. And you'll be able to go back into Facebook in your reports and see that, somebody bought it and you made $97 and you've spent $80 in Facebook ads. So, hey, you've made $17, which I think is really cool.
That's really, really powerful. So just to go back, the whole pixel thing, because I know people get so had up on this. There was multiple pixels from Facebook, and then they changed to just 1 pixel, but you have to edit that pixel every single time. And a pixel is just, the way of saying you need to include a bit of code on your web page, whether it be a landing page, a home page, a service page, contact page, wherever it is. It's just a little bit of code that you drop in there, a lot like the Google Analytics tracking code. And you're just going to change a little bit of that right at the bottom every time to be, does it have to be a word that Facebook recognize, like leads, or could it be, April campaign 1, for example?
Yeah, so they are words that Facebook recognizes, and when you go and open your pixel, Facebook will tell you their short list of words that you can use, and they are things that make sense, like registration and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
It has to be a Facebook approved word, and it goes within the quotation marks. So don't take out those quotation marks. Put them in. You'll know once you pull up the pixel and you look at it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So do it right now. But it goes within the quotation marks. And then, you can also add in the conversion value and then, things like that. So you're better tracking. And so when you set up this pixel, you just want to think about, what is this page? What role does this page play? So some pages, it is just a page view. And you just want to track, hey, somebody landed on this blog post, and then I need to retarget them. So some pages, it might just be a page view. For others, it's a checkout. For others, it's a lead. So you want to ask yourself, what is this page accomplishing? And then put the right word in the pixel for that particular goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think people, can get too had up on it. So just keep it really simple. Just think about, I've got to install this pixel on every single page that I want to track within Facebook. And then I can amend the code or get your webmaster or design agency to amend the code so that you can track the particular goal of that page. And that will allow you to align it with your campaigns inside Facebook. And I know we're going to do an awesome download for this episode. So it will have it in there. We'll highlight the area that you've got to do so you can't miss it at all, and that will all make sense within the download on this episode. So once we've created that tracking pixel, I know we were talking about the retargeting campaigns. Do we then create separate ads for them, and how does that work with the pixel?
Yeah, so now that you have the pixel, you actually need to create a custom audience that is telling Facebook, like, people have taken this action. So what you want to do is you want to go into your Facebook ad manager, and under audiences, you want to go to custom audience, and you want to then tell Facebook what pages, so the URL, the thing that goes behind the slash, you want to copy that and then paste it to tell Facebook, like, if somebody visits this page, they need to be a part of this audience. Now, here's where most people get this wrong. So you don't want to create a custom audience for all people who visited your website. Well, you might want to create one of those, but if you want to do really specific retargeting, it needs to be people who have visited this page, right? So if we only want to target people who have downloaded your freebie, then that thank you page, whatever you're offering on that thank you page, you need to get in Lawrence, you might have the actual technical term for what this part of the URL is called, but whatever happens after the slash.
Yeah, so we call it a slug. But
a slug, there you go. You need to get that slug and then tell Facebook, okay, if they visit this page, they're part of this audience. But here's another really cool thing that you can do. You can also tell Facebook, you need to add them to this audience if they visit this page, but not this page.
Oh, that is super powerful.
Now you can get really specific with your targeting. So let's say they buy your introductory offer, but they don't take action on the core offer. Now you can just retarget for that core offer. How amazing is that?
Yeah, that is really, really powerful. And I think, am I right in saying that the cost of the retargeting ads is slightly lower than the cold ads? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you can get, leads for dirt cheap. So I'll give you an example from the Facebook post ad that I'm running right now for a client. So their cold traffic is converting at about $1.15 a lead. So what I've set up for people that go anywhere on their website, anywhere in their world. I want to send them to this same ad to get these templates. The cost per lead for that ad is 65 cents.
Yeah.
So almost incredible. Half of what it is for cold traffic. So that's the power of retargeting. And if you're not using it in your business, you absolutely must start, because you're missing out on helping so many more people get the result that they're after. But then also what's incredible about that retargeting ad is the people that take the introductory offer is also almost double.
Really? So it doubles up?
Yes, because they know the people, they know it's a familiar business. They've been on their website, they've maybe read a couple of blog posts, and then when they get this offer, they're like, of course, I trust them, I know them, I like them, so I'm going to buy it. So the people who are actually taking action that increases as well. So it's just some really cool things you can do with retargeting.
Yeah, and I think I remember reading on Amy Porterfield's blog when she was talking about Facebook retargeting, and initially her cold ad didn't have her picture in it because you possibly didn't know who Amy Porterfield was, and the people that she was going out to didn't know who Amy Porterfield was. But once you'd been to the website and you downloaded the cheat sheet, you'd been exposed to her branding, her photo, the retargeting ad then has her picture in it so that you're a little bit more familiar with it. So it's not just a case of, having the same ad again and again. You can actually, really change the graphics on it. You can change the wording. You can change the pitch, the tone and voice. Everything about it is then a conversation. It's not a cold conversation. To think of it like going into a networking room and you're, meeting someone for the first time. The next time you meet that person at the next networking event, you're going to have a different conversation. You're not going to have the same conversation again.
Exactly. That's such a good point. And you can your message can change, the offer can change, the images, like everything can change because you're now talking to people who at least sort of kind of know you. And then especially once you start getting into like some deeper retargeting. So let's go back to this idea that they've taken you up on your introductory offer, but not the next core offer. So now you can say things like, hey, are you starting to see results from product XYZ? Let's take it to the next level, and really like talking to them on the level that they're at. Because with your first Facebook ad, you're kind of taking a stab in the dark, hoping that, your message is on target. Now, if you've done a lot of like background work, hopefully it's not too much of a stab in the dark, but, nonetheless, it's still like guessing the language and things like that until you really optimize it. But with these retargeting ads, you can just be so specific, and just get to the point, just get to the point of what the ad is about and get people back to where you want them to be, because you can change that conversation, just like you said.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good advice. And I think, with service companies and companies like that, you need to test those Facebook ads and think about, how people are going through your process, how do people interact with you? The same as if, they're initially having a first telephone conversation with you, the second's going to be different. And yeah, so let's have a focus on service companies just for a second. And, thinking about an agency, or maybe like an accountant or a lawyer or someone like that, do they have to offer that second product for sort of $17 or £17 or whatever it is, the low value offer? Or is there another way to say, you've opted into our initial thing, here's the next step? How could you maybe play that out without buying an informational product?
Well, you could always just go, the next step is to schedule a call with you. You could test this out to see if that works for you, but think of it like this. So let's say you're a divorce lawyer. So you're dealing with a really personal problem, right? And if somebody opts in for like 10 steps to a civil divorce, right? So you're not, instead of a messy divorce.
Yep.
So 10 steps to walk away from your divorce and not hate your partner, right? You offer that as your freebie. And then you come in the back end saying like, so then you could come in and say things like, hey, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. It sucks. I know what you're experiencing, or, however you would word this. Obviously this isn't exactly what you would say, but,
yeah.
But, you come in with a really empathetic voice, and you come in with showing them, what they're experiencing, and then making the offer for a phone call. You could absolutely do that. So, but the challenge with that, I think, is you're asking somebody to almost marry you before they've even gone on a date with you.
Yeah.
Because I hate talking on the phone. I hate it. If I have to pick up the phone to make an appointment, like I dread it. So if you're running into people like me who aren't gung-ho about getting on the phone, I'm not going to make that appointment with you right off the bat. Now, some people might. So you can always put that offer out there. But I would test it. I would test it to see what happens if you wrap that call in that introductory offer. So you make the introductory offer that's something easy. They're afraid, like if you're going through a divorce, you might be afraid to admit that your marriage is falling apart, right? Nobody wants to admit that their marriage is failing.
Yeah, of course.
And so give them like that easy way to try to fix it, themselves, so they don't have to admit it to another human being, and then make the offer for that phone call. I would split test both ways. And you really just have to think like your ideal client. If you're an accountant, it might be a little bit different. You might just come to them and say, hey, the IRS wants all your money. I want to help you not give them as much. Give me a call.
Yeah.
So that conversation can be a little more straightforward. So I think you just have to think about where the mindset of your customers. And then what's cool is you can always retarget that offer. So if you, and you can do it something really cool. So let's say you do decide to offer the call on the back end. So instead of taking the introductory offer route, you decide to just offer a call. Really cool here. And they don't take it. Retarget them to like a blog post that gives them a little bit more information about, divorce and who you are and how you can help them. And so build up that know, like, trust factor. Make the offer at the end of that blog post to set up a call with you. And then now stick with me here. So you can always set up a pixel on that blog post for the call. So then once they read that blog post, retarget them with an ad for the call. We can say something like, hey, are you ready to take the next step? here, schedule a call with me.
Yeah, that's really clever. And you can even, mention, hey, I noticed you read this blog post, really get into it a bit Big Brother style, but you could, it's just about connecting with that person and making it as relevant as you can and saying, I know you've gone through this. I know you've, read this blog post. I know you've invested the time, you really should be taking the next step and making that call. I was just thinking while you were talking about that for an agency, a web agency like ourselves, we would probably create some sort of, checklist, at the front end. In the middle there, we would then, say, would you like to, either have a demo of the software, and that could even be an online webinar, that could be the next step, or it could be a paid piece, that you've initially offered the 10 steps, and then the next it's the 50 steps. Do you want to upgrade the content for, a low price point? And then, as you say, offer the consultancy piece or the discovery session or that initial phone call. And they've just built up that bit of trust, along the way. And I suppose it's not, we've talked quite linear funnels in terms of, they'll download this checklist, then they'll definitely download this one, and then they'll make the call, in that sort of 3 steps. I presume you could go sort of more 3-dimensional than that, and someone might come to you through a particular lead magnet, but then they might read a separate blog post on your website and they could receive different ads. So have you ever done anything like that where it sort of splits into different funnels?
Yeah, so that's one thing that's really cool with all this retargeting stuff, is if every page in your site is pixeled, then you can come up with a really advanced strategy for hitting people with the right offers at the right time. And maybe one page. So, and you don't have to do this all right off the bat, right? I'm not saying you need to sit down and you need to throw everything up on a whiteboard with every possible step that they'll take and get it all done tomorrow. You can slowly start to add in these pieces as you get your Facebook ad strategy tighter. Because I know not everybody's brain thinks like mine, where I just see the whole picture and I'm like, okay, if we do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah. And you just want to think about where your client or potential client is throughout this whole process, and what is their brain thinking if they land on this page or they take this step. So maybe one of the things you retarget back to them is you want to send them testimonials. So you could do a video ad of one of your best case study clients talking about how awesome you are. Because now you're no longer saying, look at me, I'm awesome. Now you have other people saying, hey, look at this person, they're pretty awesome. So you can add in, a testimonial ad into your retargeting strategy. So then it becomes more in-depth versus more, flatline linear. And you just have to think about, okay, if they take this step, then what's kind of going through their brain? Okay, so then what's next, and just kind of constantly being one step ahead of them because you know what they're thinking. And one thing you can do is as you start to talk to your clients, just kind of ask them, well, what made you decide to book this call today? And then keep track of their answers, and then use retargeting ads to deliver, to the new people that thing that they said made them come there.
Yeah, and you can use, their feedback in those calls, in those sessions to actually, use that in your content, because they are real problems, real challenges that are coming from your customers. And you can use all of that content that they're giving you for free. They're just telling you their challenges, and you can use that content directly in your ads, because that is going to speak volumes to your prospects. And actually, I think, there's a whole piece as well around thinking about your current clients and how you could use Facebook to connect with them as well. I suppose, we're not just, getting new clients all the time. We could look at bottom of the funnel, sort of I forget how Ryan Deese calls it, re-indoctrination. I can't remember what he calls it. But, the recycling of people back into the top of the funnel again that have already purchased and maybe want to promote a different product. So can you create a custom audience from an existing email list? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of talking, if we want to talk Ryan Deiss here, his ascension model. So if you want people to ascend through your products, let's say they buy one thing and then, you can ascend them up to your, $25,000 coaching program or done for you program or, whatever it might be. You can use your custom audience for that. You can re-indoctrinate people to you. I think that's the...
Yeah, you hit that much better than me. Definitely.
And so let's say they've been on your list for a while, they took action, 6 months ago, but they haven't done anything since. Maybe you want to like reinvigorate that relationship. So what you just need to do is you just need to download your email list. And if you're really good at segmenting your list, you can download different segments of your list. If you're not so good at segmenting, you can just download the whole thing. And then you can set up ads specifically for people who are already on your list, and then run ads to them. So let's say you've got your whole list and then you want to run ads for, let's say you're getting ready to launch your next program, or let's say you just came out with a new service for your business, or let's say tax season is coming up and you're an accountant. And then you can put ads in front of them around December, January. So as people are making their tax time decisions, you're top of mind because they're now seeing you on Facebook and they're like, oh, right, I love Jerry. I need to go to him. So you can just put yourself top of mind. You can offer different opt-ins specifically for those people, or you can just start them right back into the new offer that you're running now. And then another cool thing you can do with that list is create a lookalike list. So you can then have Facebook tell you other people on Facebook who are similar to the people that have already said yes to one of your offers.
How cool is that? So how does that work? Because I've not dived into that enough as yet. So I've got my list of, even if I've got 100 people, or does it have to be a certain, sort of size of list before I can start with lookalike audiences?
Yeah, you need at least 100 people in one specific country in order to create a lookalike list. So, because you have to break it down into a lookalike list of like your US audience or your United Kingdom list, or Canada or Australia or China or whoever it might be. So you need at least 100 people in that country to create the lookalike list. So what you do is you then you upload your list to Facebook, and then you go and under audiences, choose lookalike list. And then you can tell Facebook how similar do you want this audience to be. So on a scale of 1 to 100, I always choose 1. I want them to be very similar because I want it to be as targeted as possible. So then you can use that list of maybe, let's say, 1 million people. You upload it, or then you choose that list when you're creating your ad to have that be like the base of your targeting, and then you can even target deeper within. So this is where you can start to do some really cool stuff with Facebook targeting, because you've got this list of people. Now you want to break it down to, I only want to target business owners. Let's say you're an accountant who works with small businesses. I only want to target within this list small business owners who like Marie Forleo.
Wow. So how does that work in terms of targeting? So Facebook simply knows that about you. So how does it know that you're a small business owner? Would I have to put that in my profile, or is that because I own a Facebook page and I'm an admin of a Facebook page? And how does it get that information, or allow you to target and segment by that sort of information?
They mostly aggregate it from your activity on Facebook, and then they also buy that data from other companies. One of them that they buy from is called Axiom. So they buy that information, but also you tell Facebook everything. And I always tell a story because it's funny. Facebook knew I was having a baby before I knew I was having a baby.
Really?
And I was starting to get advertisements for baby stuff about 3 weeks before I found out I was actually having a baby.
No way.
I was like, how do you know this, Facebook? And it was very, very strange. So, the information and the algorithms that they have are just incredibly intelligent. and sometimes they get it wrong. It's not 100% accurate, but it's pretty darn close. So just Facebook is all knowing, all seeing, and which is great for business owners like you and I, a little terrifying for when I'm in average person mode. But when I'm in business owner mode, I'm like, yes, this is amazing. And you do have access to different targeting based on the country that you're in. So some of the more advanced buyer profile stuff is only available to you, like to people you're targeting in the US, but you can still get really specific. So you asked about business owners. So, you could even segment that. So one of the things you could do is target by people who have they're an admin on a Facebook page, or you could target by digital activities, small business owners. So even within that, what seems like a very simple category, you can even get a little more specific. But you can also narrow. One thing that you couldn't used to do on Facebook, which you can now, is you can narrow down and exclude people from your audience. So let's say you are the accountant who works with small business owners. And so you only want to work with people who like Marie Forleo. Then you can narrow down to small business owners. But then you can exclude self-employed people. Because let's say you want them to have a business of 1 to 10 people. So then you can actually narrow down even further and exclude, like anybody who calls themselves self-employed. Because there's a difference. Like if you're self-employed, you usually like one person shop. But if you're a small business owner, you usually like are a little bit bigger. So you can start to exclude and narrow and get really creative with your targeting. And it's all within, you can do this like for your initial ad, even if you don't have any kind of custom audience. But then once you have that lookalike audience and you start doing this targeting, it's like freaky accurate. And it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
I love that analogy. Yeah, I think, that power of being able to exclude people that are not the right fit for you is as important as, who is the right fit for you. And I know that you could do that on LinkedIn, but I didn't actually know, you could now do that on Facebook ads. So that's, that's definitely an enlightened moment for me as well. So where do you, if we just sort of take a few steps back, we've definitely gone down the rabbit hole in terms of, some real heavy tactics and some advanced things that you can do. Where would you just start with all of this in terms of planning it out? Is it, a whiteboard session of, just saying what ads go where and, literally sort of, going through that workflow and customer journey of all the different ads, or where would you start with your first retargeting campaign? I suppose that's a better question. If we were setting up our first retargeting campaign, how would you start going about that?
So, I like to start with the first piece because I need to know that this first piece is going to work. And I need to know that my brain is in alignment with my customer's brain before I spend 5 hours mapping out my entire retargeting strategy, because there's nothing worse than thinking that like you've nailed it and then you actually start to run the darn thing and you're like, I was so far off base, it's not even funny. And how we think is very different than how our customers think. So what I like to do is I like to start with that very first piece, that break-even piece, and set all that up. So with the offer and the upsell, or if you want to make an offer to get on the phone with you, and just start there and create the retargeting ads to every piece of that. So you could even say, like, let's say they go to the page to opt in, but they don't opt in. Well, you don't want to lose those people. They're obviously interested, but maybe at that point they're not quite ready to commit to giving you their email address. So what can you do? You can retarget them a blog post and get them indoctrinated into who you are and why they should like you and why they should trust you. So it could even be as simple as that. A very, very simple, retargeting piece. You don't have to, be super neurotic about all of this stuff. Once you start to see how well it works, you might become like the mad scientist in your lab with all of this and like trying to figure out how all the pieces fit together. But to start, just think about that first piece. I like to think of my campaigns as those roller coasters where they have a starting point and then like the middle point is where you come back. So to the starting point. So a lot of roller coasters, they go all the way around in a circle.
Yeah.
But then you have those roller coasters that's just like, it goes from point A to point B and then back to point A.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I like to think of it. And every campaign is one of the loops. So you have to finish the first loop before you can start the next loop. And so you just want to think of that first loop and what all is involved in loop number 1. And then, so you've got your opt-in page, your thank you page, or your whatever's on that thank you page. And just think of like, okay, if they take this action, but not this action, then where do I need to send them? Okay, they've taken this action, but not this action. Where do I need to send them? And then just map out that first very small loop. And then once you've got that figured out, then add in the second loop, then the third loop, then the fourth loop. So that you're always, thinking in full circles versus like it's just going all over the place and it never ends, because that doesn't work and it's really stressful.
Yeah, no, I can understand that for sure. And I think, that's a really, really good mindset piece in just, building this over time, making sure that we're getting it correct at the first stage, that we're, at least breaking even if we can, or, just about breaking even, because, we've got to speculate to accumulate as well. So, even if you're not breaking even, don't, hit yourself up about it too much in the beginning, because, over time that will come as you get, better at targeting strategies. Your price is going to come down as you get more relevant content, and your conversion rate goes up as well. So, I think that's some really, really sound advice then. So how do Facebook, campaigns and strategies, how do we make sure that they tie in with sort of wider and bigger company goals and campaigns? So for example, if we've maybe got some TV advertising or radio advertising, or we're doing some printed advertising and those sort of campaigns, how could we use Facebook in those sort of wider goals and campaigns?
Yeah, so this is when this falls in, a lot into your territory, Lawrence, of like marketing strategy, overall marketing strategy, and having that content calendar down, and knowing what you're going to be doing in the wider scheme of things. When are you launching things? When are you sending that direct mail piece? When are you running that television ad? So that you can then, create the Facebook content behind that. So one thing you could do is always give a call to action on your pieces to go, if they go to your website, right, which is where most of us send people in some way, or maybe we have them call us. Yep. But let's say you're running this bigger campaign and they visit your website. So boom, pixel. Then what do? Boom, you retarget them on Facebook.
Yeah, perfect.
And that starts that funnel. So if you have those retargeting pixels set up on your site, and let's say your direct mail piece goes to a specific landing page. Now you've, pixeled that, and you have a specific offer that mirrors the offer on your direct mail piece. It's like, hey, thanks for checking us out. Check us out again, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't take us up. So you can either keep showing the same ad, or you could maybe tweak the offer a little bit, show them something else, but you can just, take the offline online with those pixels. But just knowing kind of this bigger strategy and where you're trying to get people and where you are trying to go, right? Because for a lot of you listening, your goal isn't to sell a $17 introductory product. It's to sell them into work, like hiring you as their lawyer or their accountant, or maybe even their hairstylist. So thinking about the bigger picture of where you want them to go and creating these smaller campaigns to help get them there.
Yeah, I think an example that I had with a direct mail piece then going into Facebook ads was actually Domino's Pizza. So I had a direct mail piece, you log in online. It's not very often I have a Domino's Pizza because I'm on a health kick. But anyway, I logged in online through their, /TV25 or whatever it was to get the offer. And then I'm getting Domino's ads appearing in my Facebook feed. I'm getting them on my mobile app, everywhere. I just see Domino's for like the next month. So through that one landing page, all of a sudden Domino's is just branding me because it knows, I'm interested. It knows where I'm hanging out on the web as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And those ads probably changed as you started clicking on them or taking action with them. those offers might have changed because they're like, well, he's not biting on this. Maybe he's on a health kick. Hey, we have salad too. It's not just pizza. Come get 2-for-1 salads, and it almost starts to feel like, if you get stuck in one of these retargeting, black holes, it kind of just feels like they're reading your mind after a while. And you're like, oh my gosh, how did they know? How did they know I was pregnant? I didn't even know I was pregnant. And you can do that too, which is really cool because, and then you can also use Facebook's audience network to get people who, are on other people's blogs and stuff. If you use the audience network targeting option, or placement option, you can actually hit people in other places outside of Facebook. And you can use Instagram. All these strategies work on Instagram as well. I love Instagram ads. They're killing it right now. So, these same options work for Instagram, and you build it right inside of your Facebook ad manager.
So there are literally tons of options out there. And I think one little nugget that I've got as well is you can swap pixels with people as well. So if you've got a very similar site that you want, to grab their audience with, you can, maybe do a deal or even pay to have your pixel code put on their website for a little while and grab their audience as well. So you can do pixel swaps. So have a think about that and who you might be able to strategically align with. So I think we have covered an enormous amount of ground, Staci. So if we could sort of wrap it up and tell people how they could get in contact with you, how they can reach out to you and how you could help them further with Facebook ads.
Yeah, so if you feel like your mind is about to explode, deep breath, just start simple, and then go to www.modern87marketing.com and reach out so we can help you with your Facebook ad strategy, but also the funnel piece of this as well. So if you're having trouble answering the question, what's next? We can help you get there and create the answer to what's next so that you can, increase the ROI from your Facebook ads, and all of that stuff. So it's modern87marketing.com. And if you go to that site, you'll be able to steal some of my best email marketing campaigns so that you can tie into this remarketing strategy to really take it to the next level. So that's how you can find us and find out more about us.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Staci. I know our audience is going to have a huge amount of value from it and probably a lot more questions. So, I expect some questions to come through to you. So thanks for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Well, that is it for another episode of the More Demand podcast. I know you want to go and grab that download. So head over to moredemand.co.uk/episode 27, where you can grab the Facebook ad retargeting cheat sheet and view all of those sales funnels that we've talked about today in the show with Staci. So once again, thanks for listening, and I will see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the More Demand podcast. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on iTunes and get the latest episode direct to your device every Wednesday.